Okay, cool. Alrighty. Hello. Happy 2022. I hope that you've all had a wonderful, all right, had a wonderful break. I had a beautiful break as well. I went down to Milton and Mollymook and a few days up in Kalongaluk. It was really awesome. Nice to be, back after a really grounding time. So as you're joining, I think there's 3 people here. Say hi. Let me know. We've got Nadine and Maya, and I know there's one more. I'd love to know who you are. Say hi so I know who I am speaking with. Like I said, a little bit of fumbling around. I was meant to do this workshop inside of an event, but for some reason, Facebook locked me out. So I'm just going to go here and we'll be tagging a few people as we go through. Hopefully the people who are needing to find it will find it. But this is specifically going to be about bestseller revival strategies. And please, as we go through, pop in comments, pop in questions. I want this to be interactive. Please let me know where you're joining me from as well. I'm currently in Newcastle, but I know we have, hi Susan, hope you're well. I know we have America, we have South Coast to Maya, you're in Kiama. But I'd love to know if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, so that you can energetically check in and tune into this workshop. Hashtag live if you're here with me live. And yeah, I have a pop-up training today that I wanted to deliver specifically for specifically for you if you have a book under your belt, whether that is a collaborative book or a solo book, and you really wanted to breathe some fresh life back into it. So what I can see sometimes happen is, we put in a lot of energy and a lot of effort into, first of all, birthing a book, right? It takes a lot of energy, a lot of attention goes into what we're writing about, into formulating our messaging and formulating the storyline, researching if we need to research. Obviously, the whole publishing process in and of itself is a mammoth beast that can take weeks, sometimes months. And then all of the effort we go to actually promote our book and to get it to #1 bestseller, and all of the people that it reaches, right? The whole idea with writing a book and promoting a book and hopefully reaching bestseller status is that there's lots of people who are purchasing and whose eyes are on our stories, whether that's our own solo book or whether that's a collaborative multi-author book that you have published in a cohort of other people. It's a lot of energy. Kind of reminds me of birthing a child, right? Which is why I often will use this analogy. You birth a book just like you birth a baby. And what happens once we birth our baby, right, is we get handed a baby, right? We go through this mega effort of actually pushing out or, extracting a child. And then once that child is out, we get handed said child and have to raise the child, right? So the same analogy works relatively well with publishing. And what I see happen quite a lot is that people will put in a lot of energy with the back end of publishing, and then with the launch, the immediate launch, that book will reach, hopefully, bestseller status, and then poof, off it goes into the ether, and we don't really do too much else to continue to use the book to grow our business, right? It's kind of like if you think back to the first time you created an offer. Maybe it was a program, a signature offer, or a one-on-one single session, and you went to all of the effort to create the program, to write the copy, to formulate, to extract it, and then you did one post, right? You did one post expecting the offer to sell out like crazy. Obviously, it doesn't happen like that, right? We really need to be showing up consistently. How many posts did it take for you to actually sell out your offer? It probably took quite a lot, right? It probably took you showing up on a consistent basis and, really like breathing life into your offer, just like we have to give life to a child and continue to feed and nourish that child to keep it alive. The same thing is very true for a book, right? We really need to be focusing on a consistent long-term plan to keep breathing fresh life into our book. So I really, as a publisher, for those of you, if you don't know who I am, my name is Tash. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashram Publishing. I'm also a business alchemist and an embodied mentor, an embodied leadership mentor. So for me, it's really important when I work with my authors, I really don't want this to happen for them, right? That all of this energy goes into birthing their book, into writing their chapters or writing their book, publishing bestseller. And then it's like this big roller coaster, like really awesome bestseller status. Oh my God, that's so exciting. And then it kind of peters off like that. And it's really dependent upon how much energy and investment and love and time you're putting into continuing to have your book work for you and your business. I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to be talking about today is some really powerful strategies around reviving your bestseller and continuing to have your bestseller work for you to grow your business, to become like a cog in your businesses, in the wheel of your business that really works consistently over a long term, over a long period of time. So that you can continue using it to grow your business, right? That's why we invest in something like this. Obviously, we have two sides to the coin. Investing in a multi-author book and collaborative book process, particularly because it's kind of the, it's not, I won't say easy, but it is the easier route to becoming published. And we, obviously there's big internal shifts that can happen, especially when we take it really, like when we really go there with the book and the chapter and the process, especially if you follow the processes that I teach, which is all about like really dropping into like the most powerful story that you have to share and sharing it from a space of power and empowerment and vulnerability, elegant vulnerability. There's a really powerful internal shift and transformation that can happen. And there's also the external transformation and the external results that we see in our business as well. So there's two sides to the coin. So what we're going to do first of all is I'm going to take you through just a little diagnosis to kind of assess what is happening for you if you have gone through this experience where you've birthed your book, you've published a book, whether that's solo or collaborative, and it kind of went on the roller coaster ride and then it kind of petered off and nothing really happened post launch. What's going on there? We need to understand diagnostically why is that happening, because there's a few different factors at play. And then I'm going to be giving you some strategies as well that you can really start to run with straight away to make sure that you're breathing fresh life back into your book. Is that all I want to say as an intro? Please let me know if you are published. This is a great opportunity to do a little brag. Yes, I'm a published best-selling author. Let me know what the book or books are. You're most welcome to come back in and drop the links to the books that you've published. Give them some more airtime. And let me know, what is the title? I'd love to hear. I know we have a number of my authors in here, so I'll be coming in and sharing the links to the books that I've published because we want to see those books being read by as many people as possible, right? There's incredible stories in these books. They're truly, truly life-changing stories, right? People's life journeys. So let's really give them the, let's give these books what they deserve, right? So first things first, we need to know diagnostically what's happening, okay? So if you think about your book and the book that you've written or co-authored and why it hasn't necessarily done what you wanted it to do for yourself, for your business, for you personally, if you think about that, we need to know why, right? So the first thing we're going to talk about is it an energetics or mindset problem? Now, you'll know if it's an energetics or mindset problem if you are doing any of these things, right? You're not leading with your title, right? So if you've published a bestseller, you're not leading with that. You haven't really claimed that as an identity. I'm an author. I'm a best-selling author, right? You're not leading it in your title, in your bio, maybe in your Facebook feed, in your Facebook profile at the top, you have that option to edit your bio. Do you have it in there, right? Do you have author in there, best-selling author? Have you really claimed that, right? It is no mean feat to become a best-selling author, and it is no mean feat to become published. Really, really important from an energetic and mindset perspective to understand whether you are really identifying as that or repelling that, right? It's what I see quite a lot is that people go, oh, right, like I don't feel like I earned it, or I don't feel like I've really claimed it. And as a result, they're repelling their status as an author, right? You're published. Your book became an international bestseller, hopefully, right? It was bought and read by thousands of people. Have you really owned that about your book and your experience and your role in it? You're not promoting your book to your clients, right? You're not talking about your book in your content. You're not really referencing it when you speak about your life's journey. So, we can often have imposter syndrome, right? That can come up quite a lot. And this is very much an energetic and mindset issue when we, there's a voice in our head or a part of us, an energy within us that feels like we are an imposter, that we aren't good enough, that we don't really, if everyone's going to find out I'm actually not as amazing as I seem to appear to be. One of the most powerful ways to combat imposter syndrome is to actually pause, and instead of consistently looking forward at the next big goal and the next big thing, the next big achievement we need to make, which is what often will lead to imposter syndrome, we pause, we take stock, and we reflect on how far we've come. This is really important, right? If you've written a book, if your book has become bestseller, if your book has become an international bestseller, you need to really claim that and celebrate that. So there's often in the cohorts of authors that I take through the process, there will often be one or two people who will come to me a few months later and say, you know what, I didn't really celebrate that. It was kind of this thing that happened and I was busy at the time, or maybe my partner was sick, or life circumstances were happening. And I actually didn't really claim that and celebrate that and really embody the mega effort that we just did and the mega thing that we just did by collectively birthing this book. So here's a really great opportunity to stop and ask yourself that question. Did you celebrate your book's success? When it hit bestseller, did you post about it? Did you celebrate it? Did you buy champagne? Did you, call up your best friend and say, I really need to brag about something. This is really massive. Or did you just go, oh, cool, awesome, and kind of continue skating along, right? Really, really powerful and important. It's an important part of the journey to really honor the mega efforts that you go through to achieve a best-selling book, right? So let me know in the comments. And I know we have a few people here who are my authors in books that are yet to be published. I'm looking at you, Nadine, and I'm sure there's other people that are going to be catching the replays. So I want you all guys to take note of this. This is a really important part of the journey, okay? Please make sure that you prepare yourself to celebrate your success, celebrate your bestseller status. Other energetic and mindset issues can be not feeling that great about it, right? Not feeling like your chapter was as awesome as it could have been, or not feeling like your book was as awesome as it could have been. And once again, really important to stop and to really recognize the fact that the chapter that you wrote, that you published with that particular book, with that particular energy and theme and title, the chapter that you transmitted when you clicked send, it was the perfect chapter for that book at that exact period of time. Okay, so really ensuring that you're not getting into your head about, oh, it could have been better. Oh, I thought, I really just over-analyzing and overthinking it. Like I said before, not feeling like a real author, definitely an energetics and mindset problem. Afraid of the visibility. This is a huge, huge, huge issue that I see a lot. And it's often, it's one that we work a lot with in the preliminary phases around really doing powerful energetic work to ensure that when the book is published, that you have integrated all of your fears about being visible, that you are ready to be seen on the big stage, to claim your place as a best-selling author, as an expert in your field, as someone with authority and credibility. Authority and credibility is often, it goes hand in hand with writing and publishing a book. And it's because, collectively, we see books as being really, we love books, we love storytelling. We love being able to pick up a book and hold it in our hands and flick through it and smell it. I don't know about you, but I love smelling books. It lends itself to great credibility, right? When someone has become published, they are seen in a different way by their community and by the people in their life. Wow, because people understand what a big effort it is. Only 1% of the population actually become published. Did you know that? Only 1%. And everyone talks about wanting to become a published author. Not everyone, but a lot of people talk about becoming published. And of those people who become published, a microscopic amount of them actually become published best-selling authors. Okay, so this lends itself to great credibility and great authority. But if you don't feel that authority, that inner authority and that inner credibility, well, then it means nothing, right? So this is the inner transformational process that is really, really important. So being really comfortable with the visibility and comfortable with claiming your expertise, claiming yourself, like claiming your role as an expert in your field, recognizing like, I know what I'm talking about here. The work that I do with my clients is the culmination of my life's journey. It is the culmination of all of the things that I've learned and the study that I have done and the mentors that I've worked with and the thousands of dollars that I've invested, you know, and the hundreds of thousands of hours. This is the culmination. The sacred work that I do with my clients, this is my soul mission, right? This is why I am here on the planet at this point in time right now. Very, very few people can say that about the work that they do. If you're in my sphere, my vortex, and you work with me, then you will be a soulful entrepreneur, right? I only work with people who are soulful entrepreneurs, meaning the work they do in their business is their soul work. So this is about you really owning and claiming that, claiming your place, and really claiming that identity as someone who has credibility, who has authority, who knows what they're talking about. And this is absolutely an energetics and a mindset thing. Let me have a look. And the other thing as well, from an energetic and mindset perspective, is, are you behaving like a best-selling author? Are you pricing your offers at the level that a best-selling author would price her offers at? Now, when you go through one of my cohorts and project containers, multi-author book containers, we talk about that a lot at the beginning. So like really envisaging yourself as a best-selling author. What sort of offers does she have? What sort of programs does she facilitate? What are the kind of caliber of clients that she works with? What's her approach to sales? What's her approach to pricing? This is a big one. What does she price her programs at? So I really want you to take this opportunity to stop and really reflect. Think about the offers that you have, the pricing that you currently have set, the kind of clients that you're working with. Now, this is a really important thing because everything is a mirror. Okay, so if you're working with clients that aren't necessarily the best fit, then this is a really important opportunity to look within, right? We attract our clients based upon our energetics, based upon what we are putting out there in the world, right? Energetically, through our messaging, through our content creation, through everything, right? It's all a vibrational match, which is why you'll often have people come to you with very, very specific things, and people that come to you that have very specific journeys to you, right? Because it's all a vibrational match. So as a best-selling author, as a woman or a man who has published a best-selling book, whether that is solo or collaborative, are you identifying as that? Are you really claiming that, right? Are you working in your business in that way? Is your pricing appropriate? Are your client base appropriate? Are your offers appropriate to someone who has that kind of credibility and authority? You need to bestow that upon yourself, right? That is not something, you know, in business is very different to when we are in a career where we will get given a promotion, right? We have a ladder to climb and we have to climb the ladder, but it kind of gets bestowed upon us with every new rung that we reach, right? Not so in business. There's no external boss bestowing you a promotion. You must bestow that upon yourself, okay? So that's a really, really important energetic mindset shift that must happen if you are going to be really utilizing your book as powerfully as you can and continuing to use it to show up in your business and to really, you know, grow your client base and attract a higher caliber of clients with a higher caliber of pricing. First bit, is it an energetic or a mindset issue? Second thing, is it an embodied feminine leadership issue? Okay, so from this perspective, we need to look at your leadership. Are you in your business, in the way you're showing up to the world, are you really standing in your leadership? Are you embodied in your feminine leadership? Now, I talk about embodied leadership quite a lot because it's very, very important, and it is an energetic thing, right? And a mindset thing, but a bit more sub-niched, a bit more hyper-targeted. So from an energetic perspective, from a leadership perspective, do you know how your chapter or your book contributes to a better world? So the things that you talk about, the topics that you talk about, the stories that you share, the questions that you pose, the invitation that you make to the reader, the next steps. Do you clearly understand how this chapter or this book that you have written actually contributes to a better world? Are you communicating that in your message? This is really, really important. Like we spoke about before, if you're not going to communicate it, poof, it becomes something that happened that you don't really think about that much anymore. And there it is on amazon.com.au or wherever you are in the world. But your book doesn't actually become as effective and powerful as it has the potential to be. Okay. So you really owning the fact that what you speak about in your book, what you speak about in your chapter is a very, very clear link and connection to your mission and your movement that you are here to affect upon the world, right? This is a leadership quality. And so if you don't know the answer to that question, or if you're like, fuck, what did I even write about? Or if you're like, yeah, I'm sure it does contribute to a better world, but I mean, I need to really sit down and put my head to it and really think about how. This is a really worthwhile and important thing to do, because when you are talking about your book, and you should be talking about your book on a consistent basis in your content, in your lives, when you're talking to clients, when you're talking on a podcast, when you're talking on a summit, when you are introducing yourself to potential people, you should be talking about your book and really like bringing it in, owning the fact, this is the book that I published. I'm the best-selling author of this title, right? From a leadership perspective, this is about you standing in your mission and you standing in the movement that you are here to facilitate, okay? So do you know what that is? Do you know what is the movement that you are here to birth, right? As a soulful entrepreneur, your business and you guys are here to affect planetary change, right? To contribute to the expansion of consciousness, right? To the transformation of the planet. It is not a coincidence that you are alive at this point in time doing the work that you do, writing about it in the book that you are publishing or have published. So understanding really clearly, this is the movement that I am here to facilitate. This is the change that I want to see in the world. This is the transformational impact that my clients experience as a result of working with me. And this is how my book actually connects with that. Is really important. Are you leading yourself? Okay, so this is self-leadership, all right? Are you taking the reins? Are you stepping on the stage? Are you claiming this, right, as a really powerful contribution to the planet? Are you, like I said, speaking about it in your business, in your messaging, on your website, to your clients? Are you leading the way? Do you have a leadership shadow? Okay, so this is a really common one, and it's one that's quite linked with visibility and with power. Okay, so when we become published and when we have gone through that mega, often dark night of the soul experience that we go through when we write our chapter, because it brings up so much stuff, or our book, even more, times that by 100, we go through, many people go through, or it's like a dark night of the soul, right? Where we come face to face with our shit. We come face to face with our journey, and we come face to face with just how far we've come, right? It's very, very powerful. It has the potential to be really, really transformational. So when you go through that experience, right, you've embodied your chapter, you've embodied your teachings. You can speak about it from a space that is very powerful. But if you have a leadership shadow, or this often is a power shadow, right? There's a part of you that goes, I can't be in leadership, right? Because, maybe I had a parent who was really angry all the time. And so I've associated in my mind that people in positions of power are often angry people and do bad things, right? And so you will sabotage your leadership as a result because of this unconscious shadow association. This is very true as well from visibility too. It's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to be visible. Therefore, I'm going to sabotage my efforts moving forward because I don't want to be put in that position, right? So you need to understand from a diagnostic perspective, leadership and leadership issue, mindset, energetic issue, right? Are you really, from a leadership perspective, are you really owning your power? Are you really, it's very similar to identity, but different at the same time. As a woman who is likely wired for leadership, if you are doing if you are facilitating space holding work, if you are a facilitator, if you are a healer, a mentor, a guide, a coach, whatever it is that you do with your clients, if you do that kind of work, then you are likely wired for power. You are a powerful presence. If you have blocks around your power at the same time as being wired for power, that's a very uncomfortable place to be, right? Because unconsciously, subconsciously, you know that you are wired for power, that you are really destined to be leading and guiding others. However, if within there's a block that says that's not safe, I don't want to end up like this person over here, then you will be sabotaging your efforts. You will be sabotaging your book, right? And really like blocking your book's success. So this is important work. This is really me just kind of giving you a diagnostic opportunity to really assess what's happening. And you're most welcome to pop in and to answer or ask any questions, okay? So the third thing that we can look at is it a business strategy issue? Okay, or as I like to call it, business alchemy, right? Because it's not just the strategy, it's the culmination of everything, right? I used to call myself a strategist. I don't anymore. I actually prefer the word alchemist because to me that sounds more mystical and awesome, right? It sounds like it brings in more of all of my skills rather than just be strategy, which can be really heady. So for me, this is about alchemy, business alchemy, okay? So do you know, how does your book fit into your niche, into your sub niche, right? How does it inform your client work? How does it inform the transformations that your clients experience? How does your chapter or your book really serve to grow your business exposure? Okay, so we talk a lot in the projects that I facilitate about how to use the book to be featured in media, in PR, how to be featured in local press, how to be featured in big summits, how to be featured in podcasts, how to actually use the momentum that is created through a best-selling book and actually use it to put your name on the map, to put your brand on the map. Now, it's one thing for me to teach these strategies, but it's another thing for you to actually take the bull by the horns and run with it and implement, okay? Now, even if you launched your book last year, last January, right, with Wild Woman Rising, or before, if you have other books that you have published with other publishers, it is not too late to continue to use that book and that launch and that momentum to really be seen and to be featured by the press, okay? So from a business alchemy perspective, I recommend on a consistent basis to be doing things and taking action that actually has you be seen by more people. This is 101 lead generation, right? 101 lead exposure. I said business exposure, right? Are you effectively and efficiently doing that? Okay. Are you applying to be on podcasts? Are you applying to be on summits? Are you showing up in other people's Facebook groups? Are you really using the identity of a best-selling author as someone who is an expert in her field, as a woman who is on a fucking mission to change the world, to help the world shift in consciousness? Are you using that energy and that inertia, that momentum to be seen by more people? Okay, this is really important because we can often get into a safe place where we kind of do the things that we know we can do just to tick by. That might look like promoting in very safe Facebook groups. That might look like recycling content or recycling programs and offers because they've sold well in the past, but they might not necessarily be in energetic alignment with you any longer, but you're continuing to do it because it's easy. It might look like pulling back and, really pulling back into the shadows because it's safer. Business is not easy. It is a real roller coaster. And entrepreneurialism is a roller coaster like none other, okay? So there's definitely times when we go through phases where we are more comfortable being seen, other times where we are not as comfortable being seen, but we need to know how to navigate that, okay? So are you on a consistent basis really putting yourself out there, essentially, putting your business out there, putting your book out there, talking about your book? Have you hyperlinked your book in 50 different places? Okay, if you look at your website, does it say that you're a best-selling author on your website? Do you have a link to your book on your website? Do you have a page specifically for your books or your book that you can direct people to that will splinter off into all the different links, right? So when we're doing an Amazon launch, we have about 10 to 15 different links depending upon which country and territory you live in. So do you have that easily and readily available on your website? When people look at your bio, have you mentioned it in there? You'd be surprised how many people actually don't mention the fact that they're a best-selling author or the fact that they have this amazing book. At the end of all of your blogs, do you have a hyperlink to buy the book, right? Best-selling author of Sacred Rebel, Women Who Dare to Disrupt, hyperlinked to the Amazon store or hyperlinked to the Sacred Rebel page on your website or whatever the book's title is, of course, right? My point is there's so many different ways that you can be promoting your book on a daily basis, on a consistent basis. Are you doing it or are you simply leaving it? Poof, off it goes. This amazing thing that I did and then poof, off it's gone. I talk a lot about rewiring the brain to celebrate progress with my clients, right? Because we can get very much into this analytical and critical mindset. And a lot of the inner mental mindset and energetic work that I do with my clients, especially at the beginning of the work, because you've got to really prep and prime the mind and the body for success, for visibility, for wealth, for expansion. A lot of this work is around really rewiring so that we are celebrating progress, so that we are celebrating how far we have come and the leaps that we're actually taking, rather than focusing on what hasn't worked or what we think hasn't been good enough. So this is a really, really important thing to look at. And I mentioned it before in the mindset and energetic space. I'm going to bring it back here because I can give you lots of different strategies to continue to breathe fresh life back into your book. But if you're not actually applying them, and it might be similar thing, right? How we do one thing is how we do everything. You might be the kind of person that downloads lots of freebies, but doesn't necessarily read them or implement them. You might be the kind of person that works with lots of different clients lots of different coaches or does lots of different courses, but doesn't actually implement and finish them. Okay. So if that's you, hooray, that was me too once upon a time, not that long ago. And I had to really learn to finish things. Okay. So are you hyperlinking your book in 50 different places? This is one question, simple question you can ask. You can audit that yourself, right? Go to your website, go to your social media channels, go to your link tree if you have one, go to, all of the different places that you promote yourself and assess it. Is it there? Okay. Is your book there? If you have a suite of VIP offers, this is a really beautiful thing. If you have a suite of VIP offers, maybe you're charging, multiple thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars to work with you. You might like to send all of your VIP clients like a welcome pack, right? Or a gift, like a welcome pack, essentially. So that might be something that tangibly arrives in the mail, through the mail at their house, that has a copy of your book in it, right? I often like to do a copy of a book, the latest book that I have launched, a beautiful journal, and I have this amazing journal brand, which I can't find any of them here, where they're luxurious, beautiful, like old worldly looking journals. And I will often send my VIP clients one of those with a beautiful pen and a note in the front from me, and maybe some journaling prompts or some of the workbooks that I have done over the years. I might print that out and include that in there, maybe some beautiful crystals or something that my client can really, use during our work together. And I think that's a really wonderful idea, because let me tell you, no one does that, okay? No one actually goes to that effort to send something in the mail. And if someone's paying tens of thousands of dollars to work with you, that's a small thing that you can do to really ensure that your work is kicked off to a great start, okay? You can include a copy of your book signed, right? So I'll often say to my authors to go into Amazon and buy in bulk, right? Buy a bulk order, a batch order. And when we first publish our books, we will initially sell the paperback copies at wholesale price, right? So it's really, really great to do that, to go in and to buy 50 copies, 100 copies, and then to have them there for you to actually give to your clients, to your VIPs, for you to take some down to your local bookshop, right? That's a beautiful thing to do, but they can showcase You might even like to do this is if your book has just been published, to do a launch party, a book party, right? Or a book launch, where you will actually go to your local bookshop and do a little reading, right? Or do, invite your people. You can do that online as well. Yep, really powerful to do that and to actually bring people together to support your launch. The other thing as well that you can think about is creating some Facebook ads that actually link into a book funnel. Now, this is not many people think to do this for a multi-author book, but you are most welcome. I mean, it's a great idea. Why wouldn't you, right? Where you can actually create some ads specifically targeted to your niche, to your soulmate clients, and you can sell or market your book to them, and then create create a nurture sequence in an email follow-up, right? That actually promotes your services off the back of the book. Now, this requires a deeper level of strategy. This is a deeper process, and Facebook ads can be a real minefield. However, it is very, very powerful to be putting yourself out there, to be putting your book out there in front of new people. Really, this is what we have to do to breathe fresh life into our book, right? Is to put it out there in front of new people all the time. So a Facebook funnel, a book funnel, can be a really powerful thing to do. And in fact, there's so many different strategies out there. I believe Russell Brunson has recently launched a book funnel book, right, where he actually talks about his process to do that. And there's lots of people who specialize in Facebook ads. I would really encourage, if you wanted to go down that path, to get some professional help at first, because there's so much to it, but it can be very, very, very powerful. Alrighty, that is the basic part of this training, but really this is about just really reminding you that if you've published a book, right, that's a big fucking deal. That's no mean feat. That's a really, really big thing. Really important to ensure that you are continuing to work it, to continue to breathe fresh life into it. You can use your book to be interviewed by people, right? You can use it to be featured on podcasts, to be seen on summits. Like, this is one of these things where we want to take this experience and take this thing, this achievement that you've done, and use it to leverage your business, right? To actually leverage your exposure so that you are seen by more people. Really, really important. Otherwise, it's a blip, a thing that happens, rather than becoming an actual working, like a wheel, a cog in the wheel of your business that's consistently bringing in new people into your business, fresh leads, fresh potential clients into your business. Now, we also, from a strategy perspective, can talk about the importance of having somewhere that you are nurturing your people, okay? So if your book you're using as a lead generation strategy, where you're using it to be seen by more people, to attract more leads, what's the next step? So I talk about this a lot with my clients, with my authors, especially in the beginning phase or the middle phase, where we talk about, like, what's the direction that you want people to go in with you, right? So once they've read your chapter or read your book, what's the next step? Where are you taking them from there? Are you directing them to a Facebook group, or to a Discord channel, or to a Mighty Networks group, right? Are you directing them to your website where you might have a membership offer? What's that next effective stage? This is really important. You must know that direction. If you don't know that, if you don't know that direction and, like, what is that logical next step, then they're never going to know that either. And it's going to feel really wishy-washy. So if you are now reflecting, like you're retrospectively breathing fresh life into your book, you also need to know this answer to this question, okay? So once someone has read your chapter or read your book, what is the next step you would like them to take? Is the next step going to be working with you, like signing up to one of your free sales calls? Is it going to be joining your Facebook group, right? What is that next step? And then have it be simple, right? This is your sales process. Is your sales process simple? Is it something that you can kind of do with your eyes closed? If someone was to say, okay, you have a bill for $20,000, it's come out of the blue, can you create that money out of nowhere? Would you know how to answer that? Would you know how to manifest $20,000 on demand like that? Which is what is the brilliant part of being an entrepreneur, is that we learn how to do that, right? Because we have to be agile. We are in a very in a market that has a lot of ups and downs. It has a lot of roller coasters, as we've spoken about. We need to know how to manifest money quickly as we need it, right? So the same thing is true here. And especially if you're using your book to grow your business, the book is just the first step. The book is the lead generator, right? You're using your book to attract new energy, new people, eyes on your business. So when people land on your business, when they land on your website, when they land on your Facebook group, when they land on your Facebook page or your Instagram page, is it clear straight off the bat who you are, what you do, who you work with, what are the problems that you solve, and what are the outcomes that you facilitate? Is it clear? People need to know, because otherwise people have the memory of a goldfish, right? And the patience of a goldfish. If they're landing on your Facebook, on your, say, your website, and it's unclear, it doesn't look branded the way that you, like, it's not branded to match your Facebook page, like it's not cohesive. If it feels like it's energetically misaligned, most importantly, if the messaging is not clear, then you're going to lose them, okay? So from a lead generation perspective, which is what your book is, you need to have all of these things in place. And it's never too late. If your book is retrospectively published, if you have already published your book and you're wanting to breathe fresh life into it, reinvigorate it, give it new energy, send its wings around the earth again for another time, then these questions are really important, okay? Messaging, is your message clear? Do you have really clearly defined outcomes to your work? If someone was to say in a sentence, what do you do? Who do you work with? What are the problems that you solve for your clients? Can you answer them like that? Could you answer that question like that? It's a similar thing to saying, yes, I'm a published best-selling author of this title, right? So many people, they go through that journey and then they don't actually claim that as an identity. The same thing can happen in your business, in your website, in your messaging. The identity of CEO, okay? As a CEO of a company, if you think about all the big CEOs out there, do you think that if someone was to ask them, what do you do, that they would fumble for the words, that they would have lack of clarity around how to describe the power and potency of their service or their product? Absolutely not. I can tell you, absolutely not. They would know exactly how to answer those questions. And this is CEO energy, right? Are you really identifying as the CEO and founder of a company? Whether you are registered as a company or not, doesn't matter. You are the boss, right? You are the boss of your business. You are the CEO of your company. And this is an energetic shift that is very, very important to make, because as the CEO of a company, right, as the CEO or founder of a business, you have a duty to keep your business functioning, to keep it alive, to keep trying different strategies, to being agile, right, to ensuring that you don't go bankrupt. That is the job and the role of a CEO, okay? So it's really, really important to embody that up here first, and then embody it here as well. You and your business, you co-create together, okay? And your business has its own energies and its own functions and its own roles, and we can really get into the energetics of business, of your business, in another live. I can do another live about that because it's really fascinating. But right now, this is about you from a CEO perspective, understanding very clearly, how does my book fit in with my business? How does my book fit in with my sub niche? How does my book align with the programs and offers that I am promoting, right? How can I speak about, when I'm marketing my book, how can I speak about it at the same time to give me credibility and authority to grow and promote my offers? Really, really important question to know the answer to. Now, there was a question here from Maya, but I've missed it. So disappointed that my 4 adult children were not at all impressed with my 2 books and haven't even read them. All the authors were so concerned about what they were writing and censoring themselves because they were concerned about how it would impact their families. Same for me. And then nothing from them. My clients and students were my biggest supporters. And that happens quite regularly. I get people saying, I don't know if I should talk about my parents this way or my ex this way. What if I get sued? You know, what if I attract unwanted attention from people in my family? you know, it's part and parcel with business. Unfortunately, it can be very connected to tall poppy syndrome, right? Where we go, she's tooting her horn a little bit too much. I'm not even going to give that an ounce of my time. And the trick is to not allow yourself to be affected by it. Why? Because your family is not your soulmate client. They are not your soulmate clients. They probably are not a good fit for your work. And it can feel disappointing, right? Because we want our family in particular to validate our achievements and to really, you know, we want their approval, right? No matter how much work we do on giving ourselves approval first and foremost, there's still the inner child, the little girl or the little boy inside that really wants them to say, you did a great job. That was a fabulous book. I loved your chapter. You were so brave. It was beautifully written. And when that doesn't happen, we can have a lot of disappointment. So it is important to work through and process those emotions. But at the end of the day, it will always typically be your people, your community, your clients, your students that are actively supporting you, that are your colleagues, your mentors, the people that we invest with, that are actively supporting your success. This happens all the time. Sometimes you have people, my parents beautifully, they went, Tash, that was awesome. I was so proud of you, right? And I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I was a little bit like, oh, you read it? Oh, cool, right? But that doesn't happen for everyone. And you know, by book 6, they're not reading them, probably, you know, by book 7, they're like, yeah, well done, another bestseller. That's awesome. I don't think my partner has ever read any of my chapters, okay? And he's in the other room out there. I'm going to go have a word with him. Honestly, I don't think he's read any of the chapters of the books that I have published, and that's okay. You know, I don't expect him to read them all. That's totally fine because he is not my soulmate client. So I hope that's been useful. Really, you can breathe fresh life back into anything. If you have a dead list, a newsletter list that you haven't spoken to in a long time, you can breathe fresh life back into it. And it's really powerful strategy to bring fresh people or regurgitate people back into your business. I don't want to use that word regurgitate, but, you know, bring people back into your business. You can breathe fresh life back into anything. It just requires energy. It requires focus. It requires attention. Okay. So it's as simple as creating some beautiful banners that have your book for your Facebook page and for your website, that have your book, that have your name, you know, author of this book, right? It's as simple as ensuring that you are using the best-selling author tag in your bio, in your introductions, on your social media channels. It's as simple as, you know, reaching out to publications and just putting yourself out there, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You, unless you hire a publicist, you are your own publicist, yeah? You are the one that does it. You are the one that puts yourself out there. If you are not consistently putting yourself out there, you are missing out. Okay. And especially for my authors that have books that are yet to be published, you want to know how much people pay for PR and publicity. They pay tens of thousands of dollars to be featured in publications, to be seen on the global stage. Literally, I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars to generate publicity and PR. When you publish a book, especially if your book goes to bestseller, that is a brilliant opportunity to be using that energy and that incredible achievement to be placing yourself in publications, in publicity, and to be generating this exposure that people pay a lot of money for. You really don't want to miss out on that opportunity, right? That opportunity to really claim that, because it's very powerful. You can then create like a media tab in your website, and you know, it adds to your credibility and your author and your authority in a massive way. But like I spoke about at the very beginning, if you don't have that inner authority and that inner credibility, if you don't feel like an accomplished author, if you don't feel like a best-selling author, if you don't feel like the CEO of a business or a company, if you don't feel like someone who is, you know, like someone who manages hundreds of thousands of dollars in her bank account or millions of dollars in her bank account, if you don't feel like that kind of person energetically, it's not going to translate externally, okay? So this is where we always do the inner work that creates the outer success. Doesn't matter how much work we do strategy-wise, if we don't align energetically with it, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly, right? It will be a blip that happens and it passes you by, because it ain't going to fly. So I wanted to share with you that if you're wanting some more support from a mindset and energetic perspective, from a leadership perspective, I have a beautiful and very, very powerful program that's starting at the end of January called Sacred Fire Initiation. And it's going to be an incredible opportunity to reset energetically and to come into a much more empowered and embodied leadership place, right? This is really where the be all and end all, where it begins, where it ends, right? Is your energetics, how you are perceiving of yourself, how you are perceiving of the work that you do, the mission and the movement that you are here to facilitate, the life-changing work that you do, that you offer. It begins within, okay? So I wanted to just do a little shameless brag, humble brag, that's not the right word, shameless plug. A little shameless plug about my new program that's starting at the end of January, because there's still some spots left. It's going to be really, really powerful. I'm really excited about this container because for me, this is the most incredible way to begin 2022, right? To really call back your power. 21 and 2020 were crazy years. There's no doubt about that. And this year we have the opportunity to architect it, to decide how it goes. We have that opportunity every year, of course. But before we get swept into the chaos, before we get swept into the fear porn that's surrounding us every day, especially if we're online marketing business, it's so easy to be swept away by currents of fear and media that love to siphon your energy and, you know, people that love to do that. Before that happens, we want to really powerfully center and anchor ourselves into our leadership, into our vision and our mission, and into the movement that we're here to facilitate. And this is what Sacred Fire Initiation is here to do. So please let me know if you would like some more information about that. On Tuesday, I also have a beautiful free activation portal that I'm running too called Walking Through Fire. And this is like a preliminary activation that's going to really set the tone for Sacred Fire Initiation. It's going to really energetically prepare, align, and activate my people who are joining me in that program. And I've decided to make this free rather than have this be the first step of Sacred Fire Initiation. This is going to be like a taste of the work. So you're welcome. I'm going to drop in and leave the link to that because that is going to be incredibly powerful. Walking through fire, dancing with chaos. We can't deny it, right? The chaos energy is strong at the moment. So how do we learn to flow with it? And whenever I think about it and tune into it, it's come through recently in some channelings that I've done, how to harness chaos energy and how to really like allow it to stream through and into our sacred work, into our soul work, so that it doesn't completely defrag us and completely send us discombobulated, right? Which is what chaos energy can do if we don't know how to really channel it and enact it in a way that is intentional and that is powerful. Chaos energy is the most powerful energy in the universe. It is the universal energies, right? So when we can really stream it through our energy centers into our work and dance with it rather than allow ourselves to be completely defragged by it, we become incredibly powerful. Our message and our magnetism becomes incredibly potent, and we are aligned with the work that we're here to do rather than completely discombobulated, which I know I felt a lot of in the past 12 months. So have a look, see if there's any comments. Alrighty, that is all. Thank you for being with me, and sorry about the initial issues that we had. I'm super excited to watch what you guys do with all of this strategy. Once again, please share the links to your books in the comments, and promote the shit out of it. Promote the shit out of you. You're shit hot. If people don't know it, if you don't know it, then people aren't going to know it. Your clients, your potential clients, your community, all right? Really own that, because what you've done by creating a bestseller, by birthing a best-selling book is huge, or multiple best-selling books, absolutely massive. Own it, celebrate it, claim it, and really allow it to launch your business into the stratosphere, which it has the potential to do. I didn't even talk about my new book. Anyway, I'm going to do another one. I'll do another live to talk about that. Okay, take care, everyone. See you later.